Hello and welcome to our session, Getting Customers Started with Microapps. In this session, Martijn and I will have a discussion about the challenges and some of the things that Microapps can solve for those challenges for the users and get businesses started with Microapps and why they should start with Microapps.
Yeah, so this is Martijn speaking. I will shortly or briefly introduce Chris Twiest to you guys. Thanks for watching. Chris is a technology officer at Rawworks, and I can introduce him, so I can tell what I think. So he's an industry leader in the field of Citrix, but also cloud. I really like his passion for technology. He's a CTA, so he's a well-known member of the Citrix community. And also has a blog with more than 1 million views called workspaceguru.com. So I invite you all to watch his blog. And yeah, thanks for watching. I hope we'll give you some inspiring content on how to start with Microapps. And yeah, looking forward for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, so let me then introduce Martijn van Deursen. He's one of the founders of Rawworks. And yeah, he is really a person that really knows how to inspire people and is always, I think Martijn is the most positive person I know. So he's always in a motivating way. And he used to be a technology officer, just like I'm now a technology officer. He was a technology officer at the other company in the Netherlands. So he also has a lot of knowledge from the technical side.
Thank you. So let's start. Yeah, a brief introduction also of Rawworks, the company we work for. So we work at a very young company. We only are active for 1 year in the Netherlands. Currently, we have more than 40 people working for us in several projects. Most of the projects are end-user computing related, but we also do a lot in the fields of cloud and more in the software development. So that is something we are working on today. We are still a silver partner of Citrix, while we are one of the biggest knowledge houses in the Netherlands, but that's just due to revenue. So we are very well recognized, and yeah, many companies already reach us for helping them with challenges in and around end-user computing and cloud. So we're very happy with that.
Yeah, so also what you saw in the slide was that we are award winning. So the last Converge back in February, we were one of the winners of the hackathon. So that was also a nice crowning achievement for Rawworks. We only have a few slides for you guys, 4 slides, because we just want to talk, have a conversation and talk about why customers should look into Microapps, why they should get started with those Microapps. At Rawworks, we have created our own proposition in which Microapps is a key part of that of our workplace proposition. So we are now doing a lot of demos of Microapps, and we have a few customers now that are using Microapps in production. So we are really the guys that hopefully can tell you how we did it and how we motivated our users. So Martijn,
yeah,
you see these challenges. Can you talk about it from a business workspace perspective?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, we see a lot of challenges in the market. If you look at the cloud transformation, which started I think 3 or 4 years ago on a mass scale, then you see a lot of new applications popping up. Of course, you see a lot of things running in containers. You see Kubernetes managing that. But there's also a big evolution going on from the user side. And that is not always a one-on-one with, is my workload running on a VM in the cloud? Is it running on a VM in a data center? Or is it in a Docker container? That has not everything to do with user experience particularly. So when we started the company 1.5 years ago, we said, okay, let's just focus on the user. And how can we help the user to be more effective and to be more productive? And to reach that, we said, okay, if we say user experience is the key, then we also have to check what is user experience actually. So what we've done is we looked at the application landscapes, we see the cloud transformation, but we also see that more and more, of course, software as a service companies are popping up, like Workday or Salesforce. And those ERP systems and CRM systems will be the core of many companies we work with. So if you look at the workplace itself, it's, well, for 90%, that's our opinion at least, workplaces are always designed by the IT department and always in a life cycle fashion. So for instance, VDI is a new thing. So let's build VDIs. And now we have the Microsoft, the modern workplace. And we have Citrix workplace and VMware Workspace ONE, etc., etc. But those are only enablers in our view. So what we try to do is shift towards a business-oriented workspace. In a business-oriented workspace, we try to look at user workflows, customer journeys, where we talk about in just a sec. And we are also looking at how can we use cloud technologies to improve the workplace experience. And that's also something we are going to talk about in this, I think, podcast style session.
So if we take a look at the first one, the challenge that's on the slide, the user experience, so shift from IT to user workspace, you said it from a business perspective. The funny thing is that if I read that more from a technical perspective. I really think about, oh yeah, we used to lock everything down. IT was like, okay, the user experience, we don't care about it. Everything needs to be locked down. Here is your published desktop with 0 rights. You cannot add your own application or whatever. And that is the way you have to work. We tell you from IT how you should work. That's really how I see the first, how I interpreted the first challenge with the user experience. So that is that is great to see that we have a different mindset on that first experience. Me from a more technical point, you from more a business point. But yet the point is, IT was the driving force behind the user workspace. So Martijn, if we then look at the next challenge, like working from one application, work efficiency and faster, why is that something that businesses want?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you look at the workplace environment, it usually is about personas. It's about, okay, how are we going to support, for instance, a developer, or how we're going to support someone from the business side? And then we look, okay, what will be the application landscape which we are going to deploy to that customer, so, and to that persona. And we try to use the most effective ways to deliver that application, to have the right performance, to have the right security in place. But if you look at it from the user again, then you should look at, okay, what does the user really need? So need in terms of functionality. And it's not about an application, actually. An application is just, let's say, the foundation or the platform you're using to do a task. So what we think is that we should really shift from just using 10 or more applications. I think I found a study from Berkshire Hathaway, the investment company, where they researched the market, and they said, well, on average, people use 9 applications to do their job, and that's insane, right, Chris? If you look at it.
Yeah, and the thing is that if you look from a technical standpoint, at what are all those applications doing, 90% of the applications out there are just showing data and manipulating data, maybe 99% of those applications. That is what the user is actually doing. The user is viewing data, manipulating data. And so yeah, using all these different kind of applications just to do that, it feels wrong, right?
It feels wrong. So, Chris, so if you want to work from one application, what do you think technology should provide to make that work? Can you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think that if you're a business right at the moment and you're looking to buy new software, I think that it's always important to look if that software has an API. So is there another way that I can get the data and manipulate the data. So throughout an API, for instance. So that should always be a priority when choosing new software. But we do have the whole big legacy software, and most legacy software is, of course, built on databases and Windows installers, and they don't have APIs mostly. So what you have to do there is look at how can we do this? How can we create a way that we can manipulate the data from the database directly without using the application with, for instance, a microapp. So how can we take data that is in an SQL database and it's normally used with a Windows legacy application? How can we take the legacy application out of there and just go microapp to SQL? So that is one of the things that we also, that comes in our last slide, is one of the things that we have worked on with Rawworks, with the database connector and API as a service. These are the ways to do that.
Also, we embedded this into our mission, right, Chris? So we have one mission. It's called Mission 1. And Mission 1 is how can we let people work from one application and have their business functions just available under just one mouse click. So that is what we try to achieve. So working from one application, not switching all the time, not content switching, not data switching, not importing and exporting, but create a user-centric workplace that you can really focus on the key processes of a persona. And that is what also Citrix is now really supporting. So with the microapps, for us, it's an enabler to connect.
Yeah, so also from a technical standpoint, think bigger. So don't think like, oh, those microapps, Citrix has now 9 integrated microapps that you just click and you configure. So the sub and the service now, I think. But really see the microapps as a platform. It just uses API calls. So if you can do, if you can get data from a database or which application, whatever you want, throughout an API, then you can create your own new GUI around it. So that is also something that is the third challenge. What we saw with customers is they are saying, well, we have all these nice SaaS applications, but they are designed, those SaaS applications are mostly designed to be used on a desktop computer or on a laptop. And we got users that are mobile, that are using iPads, that are using iPhones, and they want to do complex things and stuff from that SaaS application on the mobile. And guess what? Opening that SaaS application website on the mobile, it doesn't scale to a mobile device and it doesn't work. So that is the third challenge that we also have here is, with Microapps, you are able to create a form and create application connections, and they automatically scale to a mobile device and iPads. That is really one thing that you can tell customers that they are working with. I know, for instance, here in the Netherlands, we have a Top Desk. It's a ticketing system. Well, opening the Top Desk website on a mobile, it's working not so great. It's not scaling correctly and stuff. Sure. And people just want to have a simple form that they have a new incident and then shoot it in. And we have taken that even a lot further, that now even complex processes are started from a mobile device. So for one customer, we have created a microapp which then creates a new Active Directory account. And it all starts with just a simple form, someone's name, last name, and then everything is calculated from there. So their username, the password, everything is just calculated. They have to fill in, I think, 5 forms. It's a really complex task. It's onboarding someone in the Active Directory, generating an email account, setting the correct rights, emailing that person their password, and they start it easily from an iPhone or an Android phone or whatever. That's really great.
What we've done with this, so we took it from, okay, if you talk about APIs and talk about connections, if you look at the infrastructure, then it's already a common use thing. Like you use Terraform to create an infra as code environment. So why not use that same mindset and use that on code? So look at APIs, so look at applications and think about application as code. So we started a community called Application as Code. We would like to invite you there. It's just starting, but it's something starting where we think, we know that in 2 or 3 years, this will be really big because all the major vendors, Citrix, but not only Citrix, also Microsoft and also VMware and also all kind of API focused and API centric companies are doing just this. It's what we call a front end API. It's connecting APIs to a user instead of a backend system. And that is what we think is an evolution at its own. So, Chris, just starting with microapps is not just a technical thing, right? We talked about the business workplace already. So, can you tell a little bit more on how do you think customer journey thinking from a technical perspective will enable usage of microapps and usage of, let's say, a workplace portal like Citrix Workplace? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the microapps, of course, are just a button that has to do something. And again, if we look at it from an IT perspective, so I'm an IT administrator, and I say, okay, I want that button to do this, 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 and this for that user. That's not the way to go about creating microapps. It's really going the other way around. Go to that user, ask them, what is your process? How does your process work? So you're doing a bit more business consulting. What we also do is we write down that process. We make a nice flowchart. How's the process now? And from there, we kind of create user stories and then use those user stories. And a user story is who, what, and why. That must be in a user story. So as you can see here in the image, a user, so that is the who, can backup, so that's the what, and the why is hard drive. Yeah, it's not really complete here, but
it's a Belgian example, Chris. I see.
Yeah, it's a bad example here. Yeah. So for instance, a user story that we had was a service desk employee wants to be able to create an Active Directory account with automation and standardization. And the why was because it's now taking a long time doing it manually, and not all accounts are created equally because they are done manually. So that was the user story. And from there, we created our automation and our scripts. And you can even use the user story as a kind of an input for your microapp, how your forms are built up. Okay, what if you talk to those users and you talk to those people, you can really get from, okay, what do you think is the most important for you? And if you then want to combine that with the technology, then user stories are great in Azure DevOps, for instance. Azure DevOps has built-in board with user stories on which you can put your automation code. We use a lot of logic apps to do the logic that is behind a microapp, because a logic app has an automated webhook, so it gives you an URL to start it and to put a JSON with information to it. So from the microapp, you just send invoke, and that then invokes a logic app with your information. And creating those logic apps from a user story, Azure DevOps is key in that. So using an Azure DevOps pipeline to create a logic app and then putting that bit of code to a user story. So
so from my perspective,
from your perspective,
from the user side, right? So what a customer journey really does is you will look at personas again, like we did in the workspace environment, and we use that persona to understand what are the tasks they need to do in their daily job. And most of the time, those tasks you can translate into workflows. And that is exactly the link to what Chris has just told about creating user stories, is about you need that workflow to automate the work processes. So if you look at Citrix and Citrix Microapps, then Citrix is in a transition from providing application delivery and everything around it towards helping the business succeed, towards optimizing workflows. And if you look at workflows and business workflows specifically, you can also implement machine learning and AI capabilities in the end. So also with Rawworks, we are testing with that. We are doing experiments with that. It's at the beginning of let's say the curve, but we think if you're really specialized in a user, if you understand what the business processes are, then it's a starting point to implement machine learning and AI to optimize the user. And we have an example in the next slide as well. In the public sector, what we've done is, we improved the productivity, we improved the user experience, but also the effectiveness. And so we were able to create that workflow, to optimize it, to talk with different personas. And now it's just one click. So our mission is have one app to work from and all your functionality from one click. And that's exactly what a customer journey is driving.
Yeah, and I think that from a technical point, looking at machine learning, for instance, with those user stories. So, for instance, going back to my example that I gave about Top Desk and the user just wants to create a ticket. Well, if you automate that and you process that information for that user so that the ticket is created, then you can train a machine learning automation to look for if there are spikes. So for instance, 15 people have now put in a ticket that the Wi-Fi is not working. So when number 16 presses the button that there is a problem, then machine learning or an AI should inform that user, do you also have a problem with Wi-Fi? For instance, so that the user only has to click on, yes, I also have a problem with Wi-Fi. So that is a great way of looking at machine learning and AI to implement that in that workflow. So the user just wants to have the ticket, and there's a high probability at a certain point that the user has the same Wi-Fi issue. Maybe they're going from the same location and stuff. So using machine learning and AI to pick up those kind of things would really improve those user stories even more.
Yeah,
because
and I have an added layer on that, is that, for instance, if you have enough data, for instance, the performance is going down, or there are anomalies in latency, you can already automatically generate tickets as well. So it's, if you have the workflow, then I think you will. So shall we proceed to the next one, Chris? Or
let's do that.
Yeah. So the talk about opportunities together.
Let's talk about opportunities. In harmony. So what do you think, Martijn, are the challenges in the public sector, and why do you think that Microapps will help there?
In the public sector?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know for other countries, but here in the Netherlands, we have around 480 cities. And those cities, they all have an application landscape, and most of those applications are legacy applications. So if you have an infrastructure background, you know that the life cycle of an infrastructure is around 5 to 7 years. An application life cycle, most of the times, is 15 years, maybe longer. So if you have an application life cycle of 15 years and it's now 2020, then you're probably running on an application built in and around 2005 or before. And that means that looking at a modern workplace, looking at cloud technology, etc., then the public sector, especially the public sector, has a big legacy landscape. At the same time, a lot of cities are doing smart things. So what we try to do, and we think it's a big opportunity, is to use microapps again to start automating workflows. So with the Citrix portal, we can, what you already described, Chris, is you can offer that application on a mobile. And you can offer it on a tablet and on a laptop. So it becomes device agnostic. But on top of that, we can also automate things now. So even if it is a legacy application, we are able to build custom APIs or custom scripts or database hacking and use microapps technology to start do the digital transformation of the public sector. And if you have that, yeah, go ahead.
Now, I just want to say about that I have done for Converge another presentation together with the municipality of Hollandse Kroons, that is a public sector government. So if you want to know more about how they are working and how we have helped them, go check that session out too. And yeah, what Martijn is saying is completely true. Completely true. I have done public sector and especially municipalities since 2004. And the last municipality that I created a new workspace for was Hollandse Kroon, and I finished that new workspace in September this year. And I saw almost the same application landscape, from which I even saw some applications that had not changed since 2004. We even had one application that needed to run to the users that was from 1999. You cannot imagine it. And microapps can really help with that. So if you have that old legacy application, why not rebuild it, what Martijn said, with database hacking and that kind of stuff, to a nice to use mobile application? Because the monoliths, the software creators, at least here in the Netherlands, who create that municipality software, they're not yet at the level that they are going to SaaS. But if you want to have SaaS, so you want to have it on mobile and you want to have it to use everywhere, we can do that with microapps. So we give you SaaS. Of course, it is a lot of work, but we can do it. So that is a great opportunity for companies with a lot of legacy applications. And even I'm thinking even about applications with some 16-bit components that are still running on a 32-bit operating system. And if you then look, I have found with one customer that told me, well, we use that only for, we don't use that application active anymore, but we need to run it to sometimes view historic data. Yeah. So if you can build a microapp that shows that historic data, then there is no need anymore to keep a 32-bit operating system running and a 32-bit version of Citrix running that supports 32-bit, which the newest version doesn't support.
And Chris, can you tell a little bit a teaser of the other presentation, right? But can you tell me how much, so with what personas did you work there? And what did you realize in terms of productivity? So what are the actions? How long do they take? And what was the opportunity to run a microapp there?
Yeah, so with the municipality of Hollandse Kroon, we really worked together with the IT service desk. They didn't have any self-service software for their end users, and they did a lot of stuff manually. So just for instance, what I already talked about, onboarding, so creating a new Active Directory account, it took them about 30 to 60 minutes, and they had to do that 6 to 7 times a week. So you were talking about a minimum of 3 to 4 hours work every week doing the same manual job. We came together, we created that customer journey, we write the whole thing out, and now it takes them 5 minutes to onboard a person in the Active Directory, give them an email address and stuff. So that is a return of investment from 6 times 5 minutes a week, so 30 minutes. So from 4 hours to 30 minutes. So it's a return of investment of 3.5 hours every week that they are getting back to do more work. Because that IT services there had a lot of tickets mounting up, and they didn't have the time for that. But another great thing that we did with them was, this is a fun story. So even though their ticket system had a self-service button and a self-service page on which users can easily create a ticket, users didn't use it. So the users, they found it was too many steps. They had to go to the SaaS website of that application. So if they go to the ticket system, to the URL, then they had to sign in. Then they had to click on, I'm not an admin, but I want self-service. You always get that screen with that ticket system. And then they had to click on create a new ticket for IT. And with Citrix Microapps, we just created a button, create ticket for IT. And they were already working in that portal. So it's just one click away.
Yeah.
And what they saw is that there are now 3 times more tickets logged throughout self-service. So, and that was all those tickets, the funny thing is those tickets were never logged. So people were just complaining, but never telling IT what their problem was. They just think, oh, okay, it was too many trouble to log the ticket. I'm just going to complain and tell it's a bad system to everyone instead of talking to IT so they can help you. But of course, it's really what you don't want. And the other thing was that, yeah, or they just called and say, I have a ticket, create a ticket for me. So this gave the help desk 3 times more self-serve tickets, and they saw a spike in the tickets. So, and that was not because the environment was getting worse. The spike was really in users that, oh yeah, I already wanted to log a ticket about, but it was always difficult, and now it's just so easy. And I think that is a great motivator to use Microapps. So what do you think about, so that is also the top one that's here, the onboarding and self-service. So let's talk about healthcare, Martijn. What do you see that Microapps could help in the healthcare?
So especially in the care, so not the cure, but the care sector, the administrative on the employees is high. We know that, everybody knows that. So yeah, there are different studies, but sometimes it's up to 50% or more, 50% or more time is used to administrate things, right? And also there, the application landscape is pretty diverse. So there is, of course, the electronic patient files and etc. and systems in and around, but still there are a lot of applications being used. And if you just, it's at least it's our vision, but we think we can manage to get up to 80%, so 80% of their daily tasks of for instance a nurse, to create a function in Microapps for that. So that means that they can use their phone again or the tablet which they have with them to send data to the electronic patient records and to get information from the systems and also the other systems being used, like medical systems, like food systems, like logistics, everything which is in there. So I think for healthcare, it's a big opportunity to do more people, or to do more care with less people, or to have more time for the patient. And we already see that traction also here in the market. Just think about the customer journeys you can enable in healthcare. They are enormous. So
yeah,
I think we covered them all here on this slide, Chris, right?
Yeah. So next slide.
There are more.
And I think we're also getting close to our time here. So this is great. This is our last slide, and we want to just stand still by the technical solutions that we have created at Rawworks to enable the customer to do way more with the Microapps than that Citrix initially, I think, thought about. So what we did is we have created 2 products. One is what we call One Click, and the other one is One App. The One Click service is something that we sell to customers in which we say, you have a big business process, and what we can do is we can automate that process. And really, what we also do is again the business consulting. So first, really get that process that you have, that big process, down on paper, and then go with it throughout it and show, okay, we can automate this, automate this, automate this, automate this. But the start point from a one-click is a microapp. So you start then that big process with one button, one click to start the big process. So that's the one click.
That is business process automation from the workplace side, right?
Yeah, yes, exactly. And one app is just integrating all those applications into the portal. So getting the 80% of daily tasks that you do in your application, getting that out of the application and putting that right into the workspace. So even if there is not an API, we hack the database and that kind of stuff. That is really that one app. And you can see we use three products for that also. So we have our API as a service, what I already talked about. So we can create an API and control and manage that API for you. We have our own database connector. We have written a database connector which can manipulate and get data all from JSONs. So you just point it at the database and at the table, and it will spit out the JSON, which then the API as a service picks up and shows to the microapp. And one thing that we really focused on at Rawworks, we are a big believer in infrastructure as code. So we create all our products and all our connections throughout DevOps pipelines. So we use, for each customer gets their own configuration file, and then from there the pipelines are created and the API as a service is created throughout that. And I think one thing that we didn't mention in the technical solution is one thing that we also have worked on with Rawworks, with getting those customers there, is we have made a plan with 5 phases in there, which a customer flows through those phases to getting them into Microapps. So Microapps for us is in phase 3 and phase 4. And phase 1 is a customer is still sitting on published desktop. Phase 2 is you're starting to work with the portal. So that is also something that is really helping the customers, us showing us that we have a clear vision, that we have a clear plan. We're going to take you throughout our 5-phase plan, and we are going to help you with that. So that's also something that if you're watching this presentation as a partner and you're thinking about mobilizing your customers, try to create your own clear vision and try to give them some kind of guideline from, okay, we're going to give you a 5-phase plan or a 6-phase plan or a 3-phase plan to get you to there. So yeah, that was our presentation.
Yeah, our podcast on video. So thanks for joining all. Chris, thanks for your time as well.
Yeah,
for us, it's Friday now and it's weekend. So
it's weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.